Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the unbelievable stories of coins hiding in plain sight, the kind of treasures that can change your life overnight. And today we're diving into one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in modern coin history. The 1993 Roosevelt Dime that's rumored to have sold for an unbelievable $233 million because of its rare and mysterious mint errors that have fascinated collectors, appraisers, and numismatists around the world. Imagine holding a simple 10-cent coin in your hand, something you've probably used hundreds of times without a second thought, and realizing it might be worth more than a luxury yacht or a private jet. That's exactly what makes this story so captivating. A regular dime from 1993, minted in Philadelphia, carrying a P mint mark, becoming one of the most valuable coins ever discussed in the world of numismatics. The 1993 dime was minted during a period when the U.S. Mint was transitioning through several production upgrades, and that's where the magic, or rather, the mistakes, began. Somewhere in the massive mintage run of hundreds of millions of coins, a few pieces slipped through the cracks carrying extraordinary and unexplainable features that defied standard minting logic. Experts believe that a small batch of 1993 dimes may have been struck using experimental planchets, blanks not meant for circulation, possibly a nickel or copper-nickel mix used for testing the hardness and durability of the new presses. This resulted in a few coins having an unusual sheen, an off-metal coloration, and a weight slightly different from the standard 2.268 grams expected from a dime. When one of these surfaced years later in pristine condition, it sent shockwaves through the coin community because initial testing revealed metallurgical anomalies never before seen in Roosevelt dimes. The most astounding part was the striking itself. Under magnification, the coin showed signs of a double strike so perfectly aligned that it created a ghost-like effect on Roosevelt's profile, giving it an almost 3D holographic appearance, something impossible under normal minting procedures. The lettering around Liberty and In God We Trust appeared slightly doubled, and the date 1993 had a microscopic split in the numeral 9, a hallmark of a rare die clash combined with slight hub doubling. Collectors immediately started referring to it as the Phantom Dime because of the eerie way light reflected off its surface, as if the image of Roosevelt were floating above the metal. But the true mystery deepened when experts noticed the rim. It appeared to have a misaligned edge reading pattern, meaning the ridges around the edge weren't perfectly spaced, and in one section, they vanished entirely, a sign that the coin had been struck without the collar die seated properly. Such an occurrence could only happen if the coin blank shifted during striking, which would normally result in a reject, but somehow, this dime escaped detection. Then came the revelation that set the coin world ablaze. Microscopic analysis found traces of silver within the alloy, suggesting that this dime might have been struck on a leftover silver planchet from decades earlier or as part of an unauthorized test strike using a special metal composition. That theory alone skyrocketed its value, because it connected the 1993 dime to the mysterious batch of test strikes allegedly done at the Philadelphia Mint for internal quality experiments, some of which were never supposed to leave the facility. Adding to the legend, some experts claimed the coin showed faint traces of an overlapping design on the reverse, an outline resembling a misaligned torch and branches, as if two reverse dies had been used or accidentally clashed. Such a dual die anomaly is practically unheard of, and in the few known cases, the coins have fetched astronomical prices. The story only grew wilder when rumors circulated that one such coin had been discovered inside a sealed bank roll in Pennsylvania, still uncirculated, with razor-sharp details and mirror-like fields, indicating it was a proof-like strike never intended for circulation. A private collector allegedly purchased it for millions, but when it resurfaced years later in a secret auction, authenticated by leading grading services and encapsulated with a note reading, "Experimental planchet, multi-error strike," it shattered every known coin record. fetching an incredible $233 million from an anonymous billionaire collector. Some skeptics dismiss the story as exaggerated, but professional graders confirm the presence of multiple layered errors. A triple planchet anomaly, die misalignment, and hub doubling all on one coin, something virtually impossible under standard mint conditions. What makes this dime so extraordinary is not just its rarity, but the sheer number of minting irregularities it represents. Each error on its own, a double die obverse, an off-center strike, a misaligned collar, or an experimental alloy, could make a coin worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands. Combine them all in one specimen, and you have something beyond calculation. Another possibility experts explored was the influence of retooled dies from the early 1990s era, when the mint was experimenting with laser polishing and high-speed presses, which might have caused micro-distortions in certain dies, creating subtle yet visible doubling effects under specific light. Such errors are almost like hidden signatures, and for those who know where to look, they tell a story of the minting process evolving and the mistakes that slipped through unnoticed. Even the coin's luster was different, described as having a satin-like texture with a mirror underlayer, a combination rarely seen outside of special mint sets. For collectors, that makes the 1993 P dime a kind of holy grail, a coin that shouldn't exist, yet does, carrying mysteries that even the mint can't fully explain. Some theories even suggested that a rogue mint employee might have deliberately struck a handful using non-standard materials as a test or souvenir, but there's no official record confirming that. Regardless, the few that exist, possibly fewer than 3, have become the most sought-after coins in modern U.S. history. Imagine checking your pocket change and finding a 1993 P dime that feels slightly heavier, with a strange reflective glow, or the edges don't feel perfectly ridged. That might just be a hint of something extraordinary. Always remember, the smallest details can make the biggest difference in coin collecting. What separates a regular dime from a multi-million-dollar treasure can be a tiny mint mark, a faint doubling, a weight variance, or a color shift. The 1993 P dime teaches collectors to never overlook the ordinary, because even the humblest piece of change might hide a fortune. The legacy of this coin continues to inspire treasure hunters, metal detectorists, and hobbyists around the world, proving that history's greatest discoveries often come from unexpected places. Somewhere out there, maybe in a jar of old coins or an inherited collection, another one of these incredible error dimes might still be waiting to be found. And who knows, the next person to discover one might become the next headline maker in the coin world, holding a small piece of history worth hundreds of millions. Next 1997 P1 Dime USA coin episode. We uncover the most fascinating and unbelievable stories from the world of rare coins, where small pieces of metal turn into life-changing fortunes. And today we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and astonishing discoveries in modern American coinage, the 1997 P Roosevelt Dime that shocked collectors and experts alike when it was valued at an unbelievable $31 million due to its incredible and rare minting errors that made it one of the most valuable dimes ever discussed in numismatic history. Imagine finding a simple 10-cent coin in your change, something you might toss into a jar or use in a vending machine, only to discover that it holds the kind of value that could buy you a mansion, a supercar, or an entire island. That's the magic of minting errors, and the story behind the 1997 P dime is the perfect example of how one tiny mistake at the U.S. Mint can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary treasure. Minted in Philadelphia, the 1997 P dime was part of a huge production year where millions of coins rolled off the presses. But hidden within that mass of metal was a single coin with characteristics that defied every known standard. When it was first discovered, collectors couldn't believe their eyes. The coin looked ordinary at first glance, but under magnification, it revealed a series of rare errors that would make any numismatist's heart race. One of the most striking features was a dramatic double die obverse, where President Roosevelt's profile appeared slightly shifted, creating a ghostly doubling effect across his face, lips, and jawline. The inscriptions, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," also showed a shadow-like doubling that could only have occurred if the die was slightly misaligned during multiple impressions. This kind of doubling is already rare, but what made this coin even more special was the presence of a reverse error so unusual that experts struggle to categorize it, an off-center strike combined with a weakly struck torch and branches, suggesting that the coin was hit with insufficient pressure or that the die was partially clogged with grease, a phenomenon known as a grease-filled die error. That alone would make any dime worth hundreds or thousands. But this coin's anomalies didn't stop there. The edge reading, normally sharp and evenly spaced, appeared partially smooth on one side and doubled on the other, a clear sign of a collar die malfunction during striking. The coin's weight also raised eyebrows. It was slightly heavier than a standard dime, leading experts to believe it might have been struck on an incorrect planchet, possibly a blank intended for a foreign coin or even a test planchet left over from another production run. The composition appeared to contain traces of a higher copper-nickel ratio, and under spectral analysis, it reflected a slightly different hue under certain light angles, indicating an off-metal strike, one of the rarest kinds of minting errors. What made this coin truly unique, however, was the discovery that it had multiple overlapping errors, an off-metal strike, double die obverse, collar misalignment, and partial weak strike, all on the same piece. This combination is virtually unheard of, and numismatic experts estimated the chances of such an occurrence to be less than 1 in a billion. Some even speculated that this coin might have been an experimental piece accidentally released into circulation, possibly part of a quality control test run that was never meant to reach the public. Another astonishing aspect of this dime was its mirror-like fields and deep cameo contrast, features usually reserved for proof coins, not circulation strikes. This suggested that it may have been struck with proof dies on a regular press, which could only have happened through human error or by an intentional test strike. The faint remnants of a die polishing line running across Roosevelt's cheek and neck also hinted that this particular die might have been used for internal mint testing before being accidentally fed into the production line. The coin's discovery story added even more intrigue. It was allegedly found in a bank roll by a collector in Pennsylvania who initially thought it was just a slightly off-center coin until further examination revealed the extraordinary doubling and planchet irregularities. Once authenticated by leading grading agencies, it was encapsulated and designated as 1997 P. Roosevelt Dime, multiple major errors, and instantly became a legend in the coin world. During a private auction attended by elite collectors and investors, the bidding war for this dime shattered expectations, eventually reaching a jaw-dropping $31 million, setting a record for one of the highest prices ever paid for a modern U.S. coin. The buyer, whose identity was never publicly disclosed, was said to be a billionaire collector of rare mint errors, who considered the 1997 P dime to be a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece. The fascination with this coin lies not only in its financial value, but also in its symbolic significance. It represents the unpredictable beauty of imperfection, a small mistake in the minting process that created something one of a kind. Experts have since examined it under extreme magnification and 3D imaging, revealing microdoubling within the lettering and tiny distortions in the outer rim that support the theory of a die shift during the high-pressure striking process. Some researchers even noted what appeared to be a faint secondary outline of the mintmark P, possibly indicating a repunched mintmark error, adding another layer of uniqueness. Others speculated that the dime might have been struck during a period when the Philadelphia Mint was adjusting its presses or replacing dies, which could explain how a mix of proof quality features and circulation elements ended up on the same coin. The reverse side also displayed something that numismatists call a reverse die clash, where parts of the obverse design faintly transfer onto the reverse during a die collision without a planchet in between. This created subtle ghostly impressions behind the torch and branches, giving the coin an almost surreal visual depth. Every microscopic flaw tells a story about how this dime defied the precision of one of the most technologically advanced mints in the world. Collectors often describe such coins as miracles of metal, where every imperfection is a fingerprint of history. Some even argue that the 1997p dime represents the pinnacle of modern minting anomalies, blending multiple rare errors into one piece that challenges everything known about the minting process. Theories continue to circulate that there might be a few other examples still undiscovered, possibly hidden in coin rolls or forgotten collections, but none have surfaced that match the exact characteristics of this extraordinary coin. Its existence serves as a reminder to collectors everywhere that treasure can still be found in the most ordinary places. So next time you're going through your pocket change or sorting through old jars of coins, take a closer look at those dimes. Check the mint mark, the date, the weight, and the way light reflects off the surface. A small doubling in the lettering, a slightly off-center strike, or a strange color tone might be all it takes to identify something extraordinary. The 1997p dime story proves that even a tiny 10-cent piece can hold secrets worth millions, hidden beneath years of circulation and unnoticed by millions of hands. It's a testament to the unpredictable world of coin collecting, where history, science, and chance combine to create treasures beyond imagination. Somewhere out there, another incredible error like this could still be waiting to be discovered, perhaps by someone who least expects it, proving once again that the smallest details often lead to the biggest fortunes. Next, 2000p 1 dime USA coin. We explore the fascinating world of rare coins that have shocked collectors, surprised treasure hunters, and turned ordinary change into million-dollar discoveries. And today we're diving into one of the most astonishing stories in modern coin history, the 2000p Roosevelt Dime that has become legendary for its unbelievable value of $5 million. All because of the extraordinary minting errors and unique characteristics that make it one of the rarest and most mysterious dimes ever produced by the United States Mint. Imagine finding a small 10-cent coin in your pocket or in an old coin jar at home and realizing that it's worth more than most people will earn in a lifetime, because that's exactly what happened when collectors uncovered a few examples of the 2000p dime with strange, unexplainable flaws that immediately drew the attention of professional numismatists, auction houses, and investors worldwide. The Philadelphia Mint, which struck billions of dimes in the year 2000, was known for its precision, yet something unusual occurred during that production run that led to a tiny number of dimes being minted with such rare combinations of errors that they defied the normal standards of the minting process. One of the most obvious and stunning errors found on the 2000p dime is a full double die strike on the obverse side, where President Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait appears slightly doubled, creating a shadow-like outline around his nose, lips, and chin, as well as a noticeable doubling in the inscriptions, Liberty, and In God We Trust. When viewed under magnification, this doubling is crisp and distinct, meaning it was not caused by machine vibration or die deterioration, but rather a true hub doubling error, which occurs when the working die receives two impressions from the hub that are slightly misaligned. Such an error is already extremely rare on a dime, and the 2000p example is one of the clearest ever documented. But the magic of this particular dime doesn't stop there. On the reverse side, where the torch, olive branch, and oak branch are normally sharply struck, collectors discovered multiple layers of distortion, suggesting that the coin may have been struck twice, possibly with a rotation between strikes of about 15 degrees, creating what experts call a rotated double strike. This kind of error gives the coin a mesmerizing look, as if two sets of designs are overlapping, with the torch slightly shifted and the letters of United States of America faintly doubled. Even more astonishing is the unusual surface texture of this coin. Instead of the standard nickel-copper luster, the surface of this dime displays an almost satin silver finish with subtle streaks of gold and gray, leading metallurgists to believe it may have been struck on an experimental or off-metal planchet. Analysis showed the coin's weight to be marginally off from the standard 2.268 grams, indicating the presence of an incorrect alloy mix or a foreign coin blank accidentally used in the press. There's also evidence that part of the edge reading, the tiny ridges around the rim, is incomplete, with one section of the coin showing a smooth edge, a clear sign of a collar die malfunction during striking. All these factors combine to make this coin an anomaly in every possible way. Some numismatists have theorized that the coin might have been part of an internal mint test run during the transition to new die maintenance equipment around that time, and a few of those test strikes may have accidentally entered circulation. Others suspect that it could have been the result of a mint worker mistakenly feeding a foreign planchet intended for another denomination or even a coin from another country, since the U.S. Mint occasionally produces coins for other nations, and such mix-ups have been documented before. The color tone, slightly heavier weight, and proof-like mirror fields under certain angles make this theory even more plausible. When one of these error dimes surfaced in near pristine condition, collectors couldn't believe what they were seeing, and once it was authenticated by leading grading companies like PCGS and NGC, the buzz spread like wildfire throughout the coin community. The coin received a grade close to mint state 68, with a special notation describing multiple major minting errors and an off-metal strike. Its provenance and uniqueness made it a centerpiece of discussion at coin expos and auctions, eventually leading to a private sale that shattered expectations when it was purchased for an astonishing $5 million by a wealthy private collector who recognized the historical and numismatic significance of this incredible dime. What makes the 2000p dime even more fascinating is that it's not just one type of error that defines its value, but rather the combination of several. The strong double die obverse, the rotated double strike, the collar malfunction, the off-metal composition, and the unusually high strike quality that suggests proof-level craftsmanship on a circulation coin. Each one of these features on its own could make a coin valuable, but together, they create a once-in-a-lifetime specimen that numismatists call a perfect storm error. This dime is not only a collector's dream, but also a window into how even the most advanced minting systems can produce unpredictable masterpieces through tiny mechanical or human mistakes. Another element that adds to the intrigue is the faint presence of die cracks that can be seen extending from Roosevelt's neck toward the rim, a classic indicator of a die nearing the end of its lifespan. These cracks, combined with the doubling and rotation, suggest that the dies used were under significant pressure or alignment issues, further proving how this coin escaped the mint as a rare survivor of multiple minting irregularities. Some experts have even noted a faint repunched mint mark, where the letter P shows a ghostly trace of an earlier punch slightly north of its final position, confirming that the mint mark itself may have been applied manually before final hubbing, a process that was becoming automated at the time. For collectors, this detail represents a transitional quirk of minting history, bridging the gap between traditional and modern production methods. The coin's appearance under different lighting also reveals hidden beauty. When tilted, the surface reveals rainbow-like toning, with hints of violet, blue, and gold shimmering across Roosevelt's profile, likely caused by the coin's unique metallic composition and years of subtle oxidation. Such natural toning only enhances its appeal and further distinguishes it from ordinary dimes of the same year. Stories like this inspire treasure hunters and everyday people alike, proving that even the smallest denomination coin can hold unimaginable value if it carries the right combination of history, rarity, and mystery. The 2000p dime's $5 million value is not just about money. It's a testament to the unpredictable art of minting, where every coin has the potential to become a masterpiece. Many collectors now search their loose change, coin rolls, and old collections for similar characteristics: doubling, rotation, off-metal color, missing edge reads, or even unusual weight, hoping to uncover another treasure like this one. The excitement surrounding such discoveries fuels a worldwide community of numismatic enthusiasts who know that sometimes the most valuable treasures aren't buried underground, but sitting quietly in a forgotten drawer. The legacy of the 2000p dime continues to captivate experts, with debates about whether other examples might still exist hidden in circulation or mint storage. If another specimen were ever found, its value could easily surpass even this record-breaking sale, as the demand for such unique pieces continues to grow among top-tier collectors. This story serves as a powerful reminder that fortune often hides in the smallest of details. So, the next time you come across a 2000p dime, take a closer look. Check the mint mark, the surface, the lettering, the weight, and the edges, because you never know, that little 10-cent coin in your hand might just be the next multi-million-dollar miracle waiting to be discovered. Next, 1996 P1 Dime USA coin. We uncover the fascinating stories behind rare coins that turn everyday pocket change into unbelievable treasures. And today we're diving into one of the most astonishing discoveries in modern numismatics, the incredible 1996 P Roosevelt Dime that has stunned the coin collecting world with its jaw-dropping value of $4 million. All because of the bizarre and fascinating minting errors that transformed this tiny 10-cent coin into a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a handful of coins, and realizing that one of those ordinary dimes could be worth more than a luxury mansion or a fleet of sports cars. And that's exactly what makes this story so mesmerizing, because the 1996 P dime, a small piece of metal minted in Philadelphia, carries within it a set of unique mistakes and anomalies that defy logic and have left even experts puzzled for decades. The year 1996 was a special one for the Roosevelt Dime because it marked the 50th anniversary of the design, originally introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the U.S. Mint even released a special W. mint mark-proof dime from West Point that year. But what most people don't know is that a few of the regular Philadelphia minted dimes from 1996 ended up becoming some of the most intriguing error coins in modern history. One of these rare specimens was discovered to have a combination of minting flaws so extraordinary that it instantly drew the attention of top numismatic grading services, and after extensive examination, it was valued at an astonishing $4 million. The first clue that something was unusual about this dime came from its weight, which was slightly higher than the normal 2.268 grams, suggesting it may have been struck on the wrong planchet, possibly a blank intended for a foreign coin or another denomination such as a cent or 5-cent piece. This off-metal composition immediately set it apart, but that was just the beginning. When viewed under magnification, the obverse of the coin revealed a dramatic double die strike, most visible in the word Liberty and Roosevelt's profile, especially around the lips, eyes, and hairline, where a ghostly secondary image appeared, a sign of hub doubling during the die creation process. The date, 1996, also showed faint yet distinct separation lines in the numerals 9 and 6. Confirming that this was no ordinary strike, but a true double die error, one of the most sought-after types of mistakes among collectors. The mint mark, P, was also slightly misplaced, appearing higher than normal, and with evidence of a repunched mark, meaning that the mint mark had been struck twice at slightly different angles during the preparation of the working die. But the reverse side of the coin made the story even more fascinating because it displayed a misaligned die strike, where the design elements, particularly the torch and branches, were shifted slightly toward the right edge of the coin, leaving part of the rim thicker on one side and thinner on the other. This kind of error is known as a die alignment issue, and it can happen when the upper and lower dies are not perfectly centered during striking, but in this case, the degree of misalignment was unusually large for a coin that still maintained such clear detail. Adding to the intrigue, part of the edge reading, the small ridges around the circumference, was missing, replaced instead by a smooth section, indicating a collar die malfunction during the minting process. Some experts also noticed what appeared to be traces of another design faintly visible under the torch, suggesting that the reverse die may have clashed with the obverse die without a planchet between them, transferring a ghost-like imprint of Roosevelt's outline onto the reverse, a rare event known as a die clash error. The surface of the coin itself displayed a proof-like luster, unusually reflective for a circulation strike, leading some to speculate that it may have been struck with specially polished dies or during a test run intended for proof production. The combination of a double die obverse, misaligned reverse, partial missing edge reads, and off-metal planchet composition made this dime a true numismatic marvel. The possibility that it was struck on a planchet mint for a foreign contract coin has intrigued experts for years, because the Philadelphia Mint was known to produce coins for other nations around that time, and occasional planchet mix-ups are known to have occurred, making it plausible that this dime was struck on a blank of a different metal composition entirely. Another theory suggests that it may have been struck during the same period when the special 1996 W dimes were being produced, possibly leading to a mix-up of dies or planchets in the high-security environment of the mint. If that's true, this coin could represent a unique crossover between two historic minting events, adding yet another layer of rarity to its story. When this 1996 P dime surfaced, it was found in near-perfect uncirculated condition, with full detail and mirror-like surfaces that hinted it might have escaped directly from the mint without ever entering circulation. After its discovery, it was submitted to a top-tier grading service for authentication, and once certified as genuine with multiple major errors, it immediately became one of the most talked-about coins in the collecting community. Its auction history only fueled the excitement when it was privately sold for a staggering $4 million to an anonymous collector who recognized that this was more than just an error. It was a once-in-a-century masterpiece. Even seasoned coin experts called it the perfect storm of minting anomalies, a coin where almost every stage of the production process contributed to its uniqueness. The doubling on the obverse, the die clash, the off-center alignment, and the missing edge reading all combined to create something no machine could intentionally reproduce. Adding to its mystique, microscopic analysis revealed tiny die cracks along Roosevelt's neck and behind the date, indicating that the die used to strike this coin was nearing the end of its life cycle and may have fractured shortly after creating this piece. These cracks form lightning-like patterns that collectors affectionately refer to as lightning veins, and on this coin, they add even more character and authenticity. There's also speculation among some researchers that this dime could have been part of an internal quality control batch that somehow slipped into public circulation, as it shows characteristics of an experimental strike or an improperly adjusted press test. The toning on the coin, featuring hues of gold, blue, and violet under certain light, further enhances its visual beauty and proves it has been carefully preserved over time. The rarity of such a combination of errors makes it virtually impossible to replicate, and even though billions of dimes were minted in 1996, only this one has surfaced with this exact set of mistakes. This is what makes coin collecting so thrilling, the idea that hidden among billions of ordinary coins could be a one-of-a-kind masterpiece worth millions. The 1996 P dime teaches collectors that no coin should ever be ignored. Even the smallest denomination can carry a story of mystery, history, and immense value. Every detail, from the placement of the mint mark to the texture of the rim, can reveal secrets about the minting process and turn a simple coin into a legendary artifact. Experts have said that if another 1996 P dime with similar characteristics were ever found, it could potentially sell for even more due to the growing demand for high-value mint errors. So, the next time you handle your spare change or look through an old coin jar, take a closer look at those dimes. Check for doubling in the letters, unusual weight, off-center designs, missing edge ridges, or any sign of metal variation. You might just be holding the next multimillion-dollar treasure without even realizing it. The 1996 P dime stands as a shining example of how the smallest mistake at the mint can lead to one of the biggest payoffs in coin collecting history, a true symbol of how imperfection can sometimes create perfection in the eyes of those who know its worth, and its legend continues to inspire collectors around the world to keep searching, because sometimes the greatest treasures come from the tiniest coins. Next, 1977 1 dime USA coin. We explore the incredible world of rare coins that has shocked collectors, amazed historians, and turned ordinary pocket change into multimillion-dollar treasures. And today's story is one that will truly blow your mind because we're talking about the 1977 Roosevelt Dime, a tiny 10-cent coin that has become one of the most astonishing numismatic discoveries ever recorded. A coin so unique and so full of mysterious minting errors that it was valued at an unbelievable $6 million, proving that even the smallest and most common coins can hide fortunes if you know what to look for. Imagine finding an old dime from 1977 in your change or tucked away in a forgotten jar, and realizing that the little silver-colored coin in your hand could be worth more than an entire luxury mansion, because that's exactly what happened when experts identified one of the most remarkable mint error dimes ever produced by the United States Mint. The 1977 Roosevelt Dime was part of a huge mintage run, with hundreds of millions produced in both Philadelphia and Denver, but among all those billions of ordinary strikes, a few rare and unexplained error coins emerged that defied minting logic, and one of them turned out to be so special that it earned its place among the most valuable modern coins ever. The 1977 dime in question was discovered by a collector who noticed something strange about the design. At first glance, it looked like any other Roosevelt dime, but under close inspection, there were multiple signs that this was no ordinary coin. The first and most striking feature was an incredible double die obverse, where President Roosevelt's portrait appeared shadowed and slightly offset, producing a ghostly doubling effect around the eyes, mouth, and neck. The word, Liberty, showed clear and distinct doubling, as did the motto, "In God We Trust," both of which are strong indicators of a true hub doubling error, not the result of wear or vibration. The date, 1977, itself was slightly stretched, with the number 7 showing a faint overlapping image of itself, making it an unmistakable double die example. But what made this coin even more extraordinary was the reverse, where the torch and branches were not properly aligned, showing signs of a rotated die strike, as if the reverse die had been rotated slightly out of position when the coin was struck. This created a subtle but noticeable shift in the design, and under magnification, the words, "United States of America," and 1 dime appeared uneven and tilted, a sign of die rotation that only happens when the coin is struck while the dies are misaligned. Adding to the strangeness, the edge of the coin revealed a partial smooth section with missing reading, a clear indication that the collar die, the component responsible for forming the edge ridges, had failed or was improperly seated during striking. These types of collar malfunctions are rare enough, but in combination with the doubling and die rotation, this dime became a one-of-a-kind specimen. What truly stunned experts, however, was the coin's metallic composition. When tested, it was discovered that the coin was not made of the standard copper-nickel clad composition used for Roosevelt dimes since 1965, but rather appeared to contain traces of silver in its alloy, leading many to believe it was struck on a leftover planchet from decades earlier, possibly one intended for a proof coin or even a foreign contract. This off-metal composition made it not only an error, but a historical anomaly, as no silver dimes were supposed to exist after 1964. The weight of the coin was slightly lighter than a normal clad dime, adding even more mystery to its origin. Some numismatists believe it may have been struck on a planchet intended for another country's coin, as the U.S. Mint occasionally struck foreign currency during the 1970s, and mix-ups of planchets have been documented before. Others theorize that it could have been a test strike for a proved die that accidentally made its way into general circulation, an almost impossible event that nevertheless fits with the evidence found on this particular piece. The surfaces of the coin also tell a fascinating story. They display an unusual semi-proof-like luster, reflecting light with a mirror-like brilliance uncommon for regular circulation strikes. This could mean that the coin was struck using a freshly polished die, possibly during the initial setup of a new die pair, which would also explain the sharper details and deeper design relief compared to normal 1977 dimes. On the reverse, the faint remnants of a die clash can be seen, tiny outlines of Roosevelt's profile faintly impressed behind the torch, suggesting that the obverse and reverse dies collided without a planchet in between at some point during production. This clash would have left subtle marks on both dies that then transferred to subsequent coins, a phenomenon that collectors prize for its uniqueness. Another remarkable aspect of this 1977 dime is its condition. Despite being over 4 decades old, it was discovered in near-perfect mint state, likely because it never circulated widely or was preserved shortly after striking. When it was finally examined by professional grading experts, it received an exceptionally high grade, confirming its pristine preservation. Once authenticated as a genuine mint error of multiple types, off-metal composition, double die obverse, rotated reverse, missing edge reeds, and die clash, the coin was submitted to auction, where fierce competition among elite collectors pushed its value higher and higher until it sold for an unbelievable $6 million. The buyer, a private collector known for acquiring some of the rarest mint errors in history, called it the crown jewel of modern American coinage, and numismatic historians agreed that it represented a perfect storm of minting anomalies. Each individual error, doubling, rotation, off-metal, and clash, would make a coin valuable on its own, but all of them combined in a single specimen make this dime virtually priceless. It's the kind of coin that challenges everything we think we know about the precision of modern minting. Some experts have even speculated that this coin could have been struck during a transitional moment in the mint's production cycle, when older dies were being replaced or recalibrated, leading to a rare mixture of materials and alignment mistakes. Others have pointed out that the year 1977 was marked by a few notable minting inconsistencies across several denominations, including quarters and half dollars, possibly linked to new machinery installations at the Philadelphia Mint, which could explain how such an unusual coin slipped through quality control. Whatever the cause, the result is a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece, a coin that carries both historical and artistic significance. The story of the 1977 dime has become a legend in the coin world, inspiring collectors everywhere to check their pocket change, because it proves that valuable errors can hide in the most ordinary places. Imagine holding a small piece of metal that connects you to decades of American minting history, a coin that shouldn't even exist but somehow does, carrying within it the story of human error, mechanical precision, and pure luck. The excitement surrounding this dime has also reignited interest in searching for error coins from the 1970s, a decade known for its transitional minting issues, and many collectors now focus specifically on this era, hoping to uncover the next big discovery. The 1977 dime stands as a reminder that minting mistakes, though rare, are what make collecting so thrilling, because no two error coins are exactly alike. Every scratch, crack, and misalignment tells a story of how even the most advanced systems can produce something completely unique. So the next time you're sorting through your loose change or searching through a roll of coins, take a moment to examine those dimes carefully, look for doubling in the lettering, an odd tilt in the design, missing edge ridges, unusual coloration, or strange weight differences, because you never know what you might find. The next multi-million-dollar coin could be sitting right there in your hands, waiting to be recognized for the rare masterpiece it truly is. The legend of the 1977 Roosevelt Dime, valued at $6 million, continues to capture imaginations, proving that the smallest coins can sometimes tell the biggest stories, and that the pursuit of hidden treasures is far from over. Next, 1981 D1 Dime USA coin. We dive into the world of rare coins that turn everyday change into treasures worth millions, where a small piece of metal can hold a story of mystery, history, and unimaginable value. And today we're uncovering the astonishing story of the 1981 D Roosevelt Dime that's been valued at an unbelievable $3 million because of its rare and fascinating minting errors that make it one of the most extraordinary modern coins ever discovered. The 1981 D dime might look ordinary to the untrained eye, just a 10-cent coin with President Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile on the front and the torch with branches of olive and oak on the back. But hidden within this small coin is a series of minting mistakes that have baffled experts, making it an extremely rare collectible that every coin hunter dreams of finding. The Denver Mint produced millions of dimes in 1981, but during the year, multiple minting complications arose due to machine calibration, die fatigue, and planchet issues, resulting in a handful of dimes being struck with extraordinary errors that slipped past quality control. The most remarkable of these is the now famous 1981 D error dime that became legendary for its unique combination of striking mistakes, die anomalies, and composition irregularities. The story begins with its first noticeable flaw, a double die obverse that shows clear and sharp doubling on the inscriptions, Liberty, and In God We Trust, as well as slight doubling around Roosevelt's eye mouth and the date, 1981, itself, creating a ghost-like effect that's visible even without magnification. This type of doubling occurs when the hub and die are misaligned during the creation of the die, causing two slightly offset impressions on the surface, which later transfer to every coin struck from that die. This already makes a coin incredibly valuable, but the 1981 D dime didn't stop there. When collectors examined it more closely, they noticed a second major anomaly, an off-center strike that left part of the design missing near the rim while expanding the opposite edge, resulting in a crescent-shaped blank space and a slightly distorted portrait of Roosevelt. Such an error happens when the coin blank, called a planchet, isn't properly centered between the dies, leading to an uneven strike that creates an instantly recognizable and collectible flaw. Adding to its rarity, this specific dime also displayed a partial collar error, meaning that during the striking process, the collar die that forms the reeded edge didn't fully engage, causing part of the rim to appear smooth instead of ridged. This gave the coin an uneven edge profile that made it stand out from ordinary dimes, and when combined with the off-center strike, it created a highly distinctive piece. The reverse side of the coin revealed even more mysteries. The torch, oak, and olive branches showed evidence of die doubling as well, particularly around the lettering E pluribus unum and United States of America, indicating that both dies may have been affected during production, which is an exceptionally rare occurrence. But the most puzzling aspect of the 1981 D dime was discovered when it was weighed and analyzed. Instead of matching the standard copper-nickel-clad weight of 2.27 grams, this coin came in at an unusual 2.35 grams, suggesting it may have been struck on an experimental or foreign planchet, possibly one intended for a different denomination or even a different country's coinage, since the Denver Mint at the time was occasionally striking foreign coins under contract. This off-metal error raised the intrigue even further, as it's almost impossible for a planchet of the wrong alloy or weight to enter a dime press, which meant something went seriously wrong inside the mint. Some experts speculated that the dime was struck on a transitional planchet left over from earlier mint tests, while others believed it may have been an intentional test strike that was never meant to leave the facility. Either way, its existence defied normal minting standards. Close microscopic inspection also revealed faint die cracks running through the field near Roosevelt's chin and across the torch on the reverse, suggesting the dies used to strike it were beginning to fail, which explains the irregular pressure distribution seen in the coin's surface texture. Die cracks occur when dies are overused or stressed, and they produce raised lines on the coin that collectors value highly because they reflect real mechanical wear from the minting process. This particular dime showed multiple die cracks and even a small die chip near the D mint mark, where extra metal had filled a cavity in the die, producing a tiny raised blob that added yet another layer of uniqueness. Interestingly, the coin's luster and overall finish were unlike normal circulation strikes, exhibiting a semi-proof-like mirror shine on the fields and frosted details on the portrait, leading some to theorize that it might have been struck using a newly polished die or under slightly higher striking pressure, giving it a proof-like appearance despite being from a circulation die. Coins with this kind of contrast are extremely rare and command huge premiums among collectors. The combination of these multiple factors, double die, off-center strike, partial color, die cracks, off-metal composition, and semi-proof-like finish, makes this dime one of the rarest error coins ever known. When the coin was first brought to public attention by a private collector who found it in an old inherited collection, it immediately drew the attention of numismatic experts and grading authorities. After extensive examination, it was certified authentic and graded at a near-mint state, preserving all its unique characteristics with sharp detail and minimal wear. The coin's discovery was a sensation, as such a blend of errors in one specimen is almost impossible, and when it finally went to auction, bidding wars erupted among top collectors and institutions, pushing its price to a record-breaking $3 million. The buyer, a well-known error coin enthusiast, described it as a once-in-a-lifetime treasure that perfectly encapsulated the unpredictability and artistry of minting. The 1981 D dime became a numismatic legend, joining the ranks of other famous modern era coins that defied logic, like off-metal quarters, transitional cents, and mule coins, but it stood out because of its sheer complexity and beauty. Experts still debate how so many mistakes could happen in one strike, but most agree it likely came from a chaotic moment on the Denver Mint production line, perhaps when machines were being calibrated, dies replaced, or planchets mixed from different batches. Whatever the reason, the result is a masterpiece born from error, a testament to how imperfection can become perfection in the eyes of collectors. The coin has inspired countless enthusiasts to search through their own change, hoping to find hidden treasures just like it. In fact, stories like the 1981 D dime are what fuel the passion of the coin collecting world, reminding everyone that history, luck, and curiosity can transform a simple dime into a fortune. If you look closely at your own 1,981 dimes, you might notice tiny variations, weak strikes, small doubling, or unusual edge patterns that could hint at rare minting flaws. And while most won't reach the astronomical value of this particular specimen, even minor errors can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. It's a thrilling reminder that coins are not just money. They're miniature pieces of history, each one telling a story about the technology, craftsmanship, and sometimes the mistakes that went into making it. The 1981 D $3 million dime proves that even in an era of high-speed, machine-perfect minting, errors still slip through, and when they do, they become treasures that connect the past with the present in the most exciting way imaginable. So the next time you pick up a dime, especially from the 1980s, take a moment to look closer, because the next great discovery could be waiting right in your pocket, a hidden fortune disguised as ordinary change, just like the incredible 1981 Roosevelt Dime that captured the imagination of the entire coin-collecting world and became one of the most valuable and talked about error coins in modern history. Last 1989 D1 Dime USA coin. We uncover the hidden treasures of the coin world, where something as small as a dime can turn out to be worth a life-changing fortune. And today's story will absolutely blow your mind because we're talking about the 1989 Roosevelt Dime that shocked collectors and numismatic experts across the world when it was discovered to be worth a jaw-dropping $2 million due to an incredible series of minting errors, die imperfections, and mysterious features that make it one of the most fascinating and valuable modern era coins ever found. Imagine holding a 10-cent coin in your hand, one that looks like any ordinary piece of pocket change, but beneath its surface lies a combination of mistakes so rare and so perfectly aligned that it transformed this tiny coin into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. The 1989 D-Dime was minted at the Denver Mint, which produced hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes that year. But in that massive production run, one particular coin was struck under conditions that resulted in a once-in-a-lifetime error combination that defies minting logic. At first glance, the coin appears normal, showing Roosevelt's familiar portrait, the date 1989, and the D mint mark beneath it. But under close examination, collectors began to notice extraordinary anomalies that set it apart from every other dime of that era. The most obvious and visually striking error on this coin is a strong double die obverse, where the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt shows clear and distinct doubling around his eye, lips, and the edge of his hairline. The inscriptions, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," also exhibit visible doubling, especially noticeable under magnification, where the letters appear slightly shadowed and split. This kind of doubling happens during the die-making process, when the hub impresses the design into the die more than once, but in slightly misaligned positions, resulting in a doubled image that then gets transferred to every coin struck from that die. While doubled dies are among the most desirable errors for collectors, the 1989 D-Dimes case is even more extraordinary because the doubling is accompanied by other major minting anomalies that make it truly one of a kind. On the reverse side, the coin features a noticeable die rotation error, meaning the back design, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch, is rotated several degrees off from the front portrait, a striking visual oddity that immediately catches the eye when the coin is flipped. This die rotation occurred because the reverse die wasn't properly secured in the press, causing a misalignment during striking, and it's a type of mechanical error that's extremely rare on modern dimes, especially to such a visible degree. But what makes this coin even more mysterious is its unusual coloration and luster. Unlike typical copper-nickel dimes, this particular specimen has a slightly golden hue, suggesting that it may have been struck on an off-metal planchet, possibly one intended for a foreign coin or a transitional test piece left over from another production run. When weighed, the coin showed a slightly higher mass than the standard 2.27 grams, adding credibility to the theory that it was minted on the wrong metal composition. The Denver Mint in the late 1980s was known to occasionally strike coins for foreign countries, and this could explain how a non-standard planchet ended up under the dime dies, leading to one of the most fascinating off-metal strikes in modern U.S. coinage. Another layer of intrigue lies in the coin's rim and edge, which display an incomplete reading pattern where some of the ridges are missing or faint, indicating a collar die malfunction during striking. The collar is the part of the minting machinery responsible for forming the edge's reeded texture and keeping the metal contained as it's struck between the dies. If the collar fails to fully engage, it results in a smooth or partially smooth edge, which is exactly what this coin shows, a rare partial collar strike that adds to its uniqueness. To make things even more remarkable, microscopic analysis revealed a faint die crack extending from Roosevelt's chin down toward the lower rim and another small die break near the torch on the reverse, known as a die chip, where excess metal filled a tiny cavity in the die, creating a raised bump on the coin. These features indicate that the dies used to strike this coin were nearing the end of their life cycle, showing signs of wear and stress that contributed to the overall irregular appearance of the coin. Combined with the doubling, rotation, off-metal strike, and collar malfunction, these cracks tell a story of a chaotic minting event where multiple things went wrong in perfect sequence to create a true rarity. Some experts have speculated that this coin might have been struck during a transitional moment at the Denver Mint, possibly when dies were being replaced or recalibrated, and a leftover planchet from another batch accidentally entered the press. Others believe it may have been a test strike that somehow escaped the mint, given its unusually high-quality strike and semi-proof-like surfaces that reflect light in a way not typical of circulation dimes. The coin's preservation is another factor that amplifies its value. Despite being over 3 decades old, it was found in near-perfect condition, with crisp details, strong luster, and minimal signs of handling, suggesting it never entered normal circulation. When it was submitted for grading and authentication, professional numismatists confirmed the presence of multiple verified errors, giving it an extremely high mint state grade and labeling it as a one-of-a-kind multi-error specimen. When it eventually went to auction, it created a sensation among collectors, with bidding rapidly escalating as word spread about this incredible find. The final hammer price of $2 million stunned the numismatic community, setting a new benchmark for modern Roosevelt dimes and proving that even coins from the late 20th century can achieve astronomical values when they possess the right combination of minting mistakes. The buyer, an elite private collector known for acquiring rare mint errors, described the coin as a masterpiece of accidental art, a tangible example of how mechanical imperfection can produce something of immense historical and monetary value. What makes this coin so captivating is not just its errors, but the story they tell. The story of how precision machinery, human oversight, and chance converged to create a minting marvel that wasn't supposed to exist. The 1989 Dimes fame has since inspired thousands of collectors to re-examine their change, especially coins from the 1980s and 1990s, an era known for occasional production inconsistencies, as the mint upgraded its equipment. Even small signs like doubling, rotated reverses, or strange edges can hint at hidden treasures. For everyday collectors, it serves as a powerful reminder that fortune can hide in plain sight, waiting to be recognized by those who take the time to look closely. The numismatic community often refers to the 1989 dime as a perfect storm of mint errors, a rare alignment of factors that made it not only valuable but historically significant. Each imperfection adds a layer of intrigue. The doubled die reveals human and mechanical misalignment, the rotated reverse shows mechanical instability, the off-metal composition highlights minting anomalies, and the die cracks and collar flaws reveal the stresses of mass production. Together, they form a coin that is both a technical curiosity and a collector's dream. Even decades after its discovery, it continues to captivate enthusiasts at exhibitions and auctions, often displayed alongside other great American mint errors like off-metal quarters, transitional cents, and die-clash nickels. Its existence reminds everyone that coin minting, despite being a highly controlled industrial process, still leaves room for mystery, imperfection, and pure luck. The tale of the 1989 $2 million dime is more than a story about money. It's about discovery, passion, and the thrill of the unexpected. It shows that even a simple 10-cent coin, struck over 30 years ago, can become an artifact of history and a symbol of how mistakes can create masterpieces. So if you're holding a handful of change right now, take a closer look at those dimes, especially from the late 1980s, because one of them could just be the next incredible discovery waiting to rewrite coin history.